Every plant has its own set of procedures for furnace startup. The general procedures outlined here are designed to provide an overview of furnace startup. However, each operator should carefully follow company procedures for his unit.
There are 5 major steps to furnace startup: pre-startup inspection, purging the furnace, lighting the pilots, lighting the burners and placing the furnace in normal operating mode. The first step in the pre-startup inspection is to check that the pilot and main fuel systems are blinded and that the fuel supply for each burner is closed. Then inspect the furnace to assure that it is ready for startup. This involves inspecting the furnace to make sure it's clear of debris, checking the burners, and making sure all the furnace doors are closed. The damper and burner air registers should be fully open during startup so that the furnace can be adequately purged with air or steam. Purging clears the furnace of any combustibles and starts a draft. Purging will usually last a minimum of 15 minutes or longer, depending on the size and type of furnace you're dealing with. While the furnace is being purged, you can start the process flow through the coils and balance the passes. This circulation must be established before you light any of the burners. Before starting the lighting procedure, you may be required to put on special protection light-off gear. Check your safety regulations to see if this equipment is needed. The next step in the lighting procedure is to check that all fuel gas valves are shut tight and then remove the fuel gas blinds. Each pilot must be lit separately. Light a pilot at each end and then one in the middle to provide a source of ignition throughout the furnace. Once all the pilots are lit and burning steadily, you're ready to light the burners. Light the burners in the same order as you lit the pilots. Slowly open the fuel gas valve to ignite the burner. If the first burner does not light, close the main fuel and pilot valves and re-purge the furnace. Then restart the lighting procedure. As the burners are being lit, you adjust each air register for the proper amount of oxygen and the proper flame pattern. Then you adjust the damper for the proper draft. During the light-off procedure, it's also important to monitor the fuel pressure and keep it stable. Since the fuel flow is on manual at this time, there will be a tendency for the pressure to drop as you light additional burners. After lighting the burners, gradually increase the fuel so that the furnace is slowly heated up to the desired outlet temperature. It'll be necessary to make further adjustments for draft and excess oxygen until the desired conditions are achieved. When the target outlet temperature is reached and the passes are balanced, place the controls on automatic. The furnace is now in normal operation. Normal furnace shutdown procedures involve gradually reducing the temperature of the furnace to avoid damaging the equipment. Again, every company has its own detailed procedures. The general procedures are outlined here to provide an overview of the process. During normal shutdown operations, the process flow rate and firing rate are gradually reduced together. When minimum firing has been reached, you shut off fires and open the PEEP doors. Process circulation is continued to cool down the tube slowly. Next, you open the stack damper and air registers to purge the furnace. Then block the fuel systems, including the burner and regulator valves. And when the furnace is cool enough, stop the process flow and block the process systems. Next, you purge the process tubes with steam. Each individual pass must be purged. After purging, make sure all burners are isolated and that all main and pilot fuel headers are blinded. This completes the normal furnace shutdown operation. Some abnormal situations may call for an emergency furnace shutdown. Under these circumstances, the burner fuel is stopped immediately and the process flow may have to be dumped. You should be familiar with your company's emergency procedures so that you can quickly shut down the furnace in the event of trouble.